Good afternoon and welcome to Lunchtime Series with Kevin, where we add value to people's lives, happening every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 12 on eBiz Radio. You can catch Lunchtime Series on all major podcast channels. And joining us for the coaching segment that we have today, we have a very special guest, and she comes all the way from the northern parts of our country. In South Africa, and we've got I'm just going to let her introduce herself. Pauliina Mapatha, welcome to the Lunchtime Coaching segment.
Thank you, Kevin. So I'm based in Polokwane, Limpopo, yes. But I'm born and raised and originally from Finland, and then work and love took me to settle in South Africa almost, I would say, is it 17, 18 years ago? Wow. And here I am, and still stuck in the same province, in the same place.
Fantastic.
So I'm a coach. I'm a positive intelligence and a life coach, Comensa credentialed practitioner.
Yes.
And I mostly work with women leaders and professionals when they are going through sort of a major change or transition in their life, and or some of them are also entrepreneurs, so it might be also like that something is affecting that their business is going through a major change or transition, and and what else? That's, I don't know, what else do you want to know about me?
I love that. That's perfect. Yes, and so I mean, interesting that you are from Europe and settled in South Africa. Tell us more about who you are and what it is you do.
Yeah. So who am I? So this is always a good question, and often we start giving all the our credentials and all that, but I think who we are is more about really the other stuff. And I think obviously as a coach I've done quite a bit of self-discovery work and self-awareness work, and I think I'm sort of a people's person, definitely. Like to influence people, like to be in the bigger stages, and also really a helper. My sort of a inner thing is really where I get a lot of satisfaction is to empower other people to reach their full potential, or to really have a good life, to have success with happiness.
Yeah.
And yes, then I'm also, I'm a sister, I'm a daughter, I'm a mom. I've got, I'm also a wife. We've got two daughters. A tween and a teen, and then something, I think spirituality is also very important for me, and for me that means a time in nature, especially in sort of in this part of the world, like getting into an indigenous forest or by the seaside. That requires now traveling to other provinces, obviously. That's who I am. And what I do, so I mostly coach individuals, one-on-one coaching, and my business is currently, I would say 99% it's portable or location independent. So I serve my clients online, and but then I work also with organizations, or do organizational coaching, and sometimes also some consulting from the olden times, so I've ended up into coaching a couple of years ago, and prior to that I worked almost 20 years in various socioeconomic impact projects or international development in various fields. Yeah.
So today's conversation, when we chatted, it's a case of saying, We've come to a grinding halt with 2021. It's been a busy year. It's been I don't know how you've experienced that, but what are we going to be chatting about today? Because I know, when we briefly chatted about it, you had some really nice insights that we could be chatting about.
Yeah, I think 2021 is the second year in COVID. So it's like a globally we've been experiencing major change. I think it affects everyone in one way or another, and especially you know leaders, whether you are leading your business, how your business has been affected, and then also like your personal life. And so I think our topic today is to look at how do we review, and how do we set intention or goals for the way forward, and especially in this context of experiencing quite big changes, and there's a need to maybe transition or transform ourselves, individuals, or our businesses, our organizations.
Yeah, I mean, and that's it's such an important conversation. I think so many shifts have been made because of COVID. So many people, one of the shows we spoke about the Great Resignation, and people resigning, finding new jobs, moving to different parts of the world, and I'm moved also as well out to the countryside, and I think it's a big conversation around what do we do, and how do we set ourselves up for better success in 2022, and what is this transformation? So how would you advise people out there to take stock and plan for the year ahead?
Yeah, I think I mean, obviously this depends, but like I would, even if, I mean, we need to do that in our work life. In any case, there is different templates and everything, but let's just look at it also. Let's not forget ourselves as a human beings. So I would just suggest a simple sort of a method. Grab a napkin or grab a piece of paper or your diary or your journal, and just first list down the main areas of your life, and including your work. And what could that be? It could be your this depends on people, but it could just, for example, be your free time, your working time, or your business, your maybe your spousal relationship, maybe your family, or are you a parent or not, maybe your spirituality, maybe your health and wellness, and so forth. So first, just list down your different areas of your life that come into your mind, and you think you want to sort of assess, and then by one, I would rate them between 1 to 10 to say, okay, let me start from my health and well-being. How is it? 1 is like very bad, like very unwell, if not sick, and 10 is outstanding, couldn't be really better, and so forth, that you would actually look at your all areas. And as you have gone through all the areas of life, now you can look at which areas actually require more attention. I mean, first, maybe this is very important, look at where you scored high and celebrate. And very important to give yourself really good feedback to say, yes, despite all the challenges or all the things that this year has thrown me, I've managed in this and that area to do well. And then also pay attention to the lower scores, and if they are the areas of life, or even if you want to do that in more detail in your business, the areas of their business or your work, what is it that needs more attention? Are those ones that are scoring lower, are they still important? And if they are important, then look at them, 1 to 3 that you need to, or that you want to focus on. And then I think the important thing is to think, what do you want? How do you want those areas to look like? What is it that you want, and what is going on there, and what is it that you want? And then I think what is a very useful thing now that things are changing. I mean, change is evident and things change quicker. So before setting even like very detailed goals and the SMART goals with indicators and so forth, if you can set an intention to really look at those areas of life where you want to focus on and what you want to, and then come up with one word what is your intention? So, for example, how does it even make you feel that you maybe myself, whatever, I would be scoring low. Let's say I would score low with my business growth. I think my business didn't grow at the level that I wanted it to grow. So it's still going to be my something to work on next year. So what is that sort of an emotion and the need, and then what could be the word to describe it? That what is my intention? So my intention is to, for example, I think this year my intention was to balance my different areas of life. So next year it might be something towards getting into flow or something like that. I haven't done this exercise myself. But I think, yeah, to have an intention as a guiding principle.
And so you mentioned in some of the information that you share with us is your sage perspective.
Yeah.
Chat to us about stepping into your sage perspective. It's such a beautiful concept. It's such a beautiful awareness, and when it's always when the brain has specificity, it functions more clearly. It enjoys indication. It enjoys an identification of sorts. And when you speak of the sage perspective, speak to us about that, because it's such a beautiful approach.
Thanks, Kevin. Thanks. That's a very important thing, and especially when I think it is challenging times. I mean, of course, some companies, some businesses have, they really thrived and maybe done exceptionally well this year. But I would say majority of us, we've had various quite challenging times. So when you're looking at where you are not so happy, when you are reviewing the areas that you are not happy with how it went, to really not to get stuck into sort of your fight, flight, or freeze part of a brain negativity and blaming yourself or others or circumstances, but to really try to shift into seeing that what can you learn? What are the learnings from those challenges or from the difficulties, or even especially in business, we have to take risks and we have to fail in order to learn and move forward. So the sage is to connect with your emotional intelligence and really connect into that and try to see the learning and not to think about yourself also as that I'm the failure. So I think this comes also to the Maxwell's teachings. You are not a failure, even if something didn't succeed as planned, but you can learn from it and then you can see what is the maybe even a gift. In some occasions it can be a gift that something didn't go as planned or you didn't perform well. It might give you totally new innovative ideas, or it has given you new choices to make, and really bring some new opportunities that you might not have thought about before.
Yeah. And you also mentioned, going through this process, you're talking about, checking your world and what your world is made up of, and seeing it from a perspective and being gentle with yourself, and that it's part of change, and each change will kickstart a transition process. But speak to us about the difference between change and transition or transformation.
Yeah, I think that's important to say that usually we look at the change as in something external. It could be a positive change. Let's say you get a new business opportunity, or you get a promotion in your career, or you win a lottery, or maybe you get married, or whatever, something new, exciting, positive. That also it will sort of initiate a transition or transformation process. Change can also be something negative. It could be like now many of us, we know people that we've lost people for the pandemic, or it could be challenges. I'm sorry about this. I think my neighbor is doing some construction.
No problem.
Yeah, sorry, it's irritating noise, and I don't think I can hide away from it. Anyway, we'll come for the negative changes. So yes, it could be maybe a death in the family, or that, or maybe at personal level, maybe you've been retrenched or something like that because economy is going down. Maybe you lost business opportunities. So it can be something catalytic, something negative, something shocking also. Sometimes change can also just be sort of an inner transition that you just you've experienced something, or you are going through some kind of self-discovery, and you just strongly know that there has to be a change. I have to do something. So but usually an external catalytic event, positive or negative, and then it kickstarts the inner transition, which is that journey that you need to take to adapt into that change. And sometimes when the change is something small, it's maybe some you just surf the waves, or it's just small tweaks or small transition. But then there are these more bigger transitions, bigger catalytic events, where it can even be a full metamorphosis, like starting from your, who am I? Like identity might evolve and change. Yeah. So those are the how I define, and I love Martha Beck, her way of explaining the change process, map of change. So I think I'm talking quite a bit onto that. Yeah. So that's the difference.
I love that. Yes, and you also mentioned that how does the transition or transformation process look like? Because I think it's very often we hear the words, we know that transforming or changing is necessary, and we know it's there, but we don't necessarily know how to do it. So the how is, I think, such an important conversation.
That's it. And then the other thing is also that like a theory alone helps us maybe 20% with the how part, but at least maybe today we can share at least a part of the 20 or maybe a little bit more. So in this map of change cycle, the first it has 4 quadrants. So there is first the catalytic event, like we talked about what is the change, what the change can be. So those catalytic events, and the first phase is called the death and rebirth, and the second phase is called dreaming and scheming, and the third one is the hero's saga, and the fourth one is promised land, or the dreamland. And if we talk about the first quadrant, and this is now in a bigger change processes or transition processes, it's like one movie, or it's the end of an era. So that's the death, and it could be, for example, at an individual level. Let's say you get retrenched, and you need to and it's not easy to just pick up the pieces and get back on the very similar job or something. Your whole identity might be at the stake. And you might start thinking, do I need to learn new skills, or am I going to be an entrepreneur, or what am I going to do? So it's that all processing the old and saying goodbye for the old, and then being able to say hello to the new. And in between there is like a in-between stage, which is very awkward, but it's also like it can be very creative space to be. So that's and that's really, really often has to do even with your identity, like really really questioning who you are, where you're gonna go, and who you want to, who you are becoming, and all that. And when you are able to say hello to the new that you've got, I think this is the toughest corner actually. This is the first part is can be really tough. And you need to also even sit with those awkwardness and those difficult sort of things and process and then be ready to move forward. And in that phase, it's extremely extremely important to level up your self-care also, that you sort of are fit to go through that process. And then when you sort of have an idea who you are becoming or the new you, the reborn, it's a bit of biblical language, but we don't need to take it as a Bible thing, but the language is in this map of change a bit biblical. But when you are reborn, that's the hello to the new. But now you then enter into the second phase, which is the dreaming and scheming. Because you might know who you are or who you're becoming, but you might not yet be clear. What is it exactly? What is the goal? Maybe you don't have clarity where you're going and how to get there. So you start dreaming and scheming, different options, and then you need to start trying the different options so that you find, what actually suits you and what feels good and what is it that you're going to do next. And then when you get that clarity and direction, you enter into the hero saga. So now you start working towards your dreamland. And that can take then, depending now what you're doing. Let's say if you're starting from a new business from scratch, or maybe, so it can take some time to learn the new things and to set up your systems. And I think a lot of people have now moved digital. Their businesses have moved online. So there has been a lot of the hero saga, how you actually learn all the new skills and get the systems going and all that. And then eventually you get into that promised land, which is that where you want it to go. Maybe, financially, emotionally, spiritually, and in all aspects. So those are the phases. And I was talking now from a very individual point of view. But this could happen to your business, or this could happen to the company or the organization that you're working for. That something happens, let's say, in the outer world, in the market, like COVID happened. Maybe your services, your products are obsolete. They are no more needed. They're no more relevant for your clients. So it's the sort of the death of an era or death of a product line or a service. And then you need to figure out, what is it that is needed and what is it that we want to be or we could be. And then you need to dream and scheme and come up with all the details and the, market research and whatever and like that. And then you need to implement. And then hopefully you get into your new, you launch your new product, your new service, and you just secure back your client and maybe even better, bigger service or clientele or whatever. Yeah. So that's how Martha Beck explains the change cycle.
And as you mentioned, it's a very personal process that you can actually use the map of change with. But you also mentioned, this transition period and bringing your awareness to the ADKAR methodology.
Yeah. So ADKAR, it's the methodology in especially in organizational change, and developed by Jeff Hyatt, or the company's Prosi. Do I pronounce it correctly? That's the other thing. So ADKAR just refers to it's an acronym from awareness, desire, knowledge, ability, and reinforcement. So and this is also applicable. It's used in organizations, but people-driven change. Because if you introduce some change in an organization or business, if your people don't embrace it, it's not going to fly, because I mean the building doesn't really, it doesn't do the change. People need to do the change. And so first, it's important to really have that awareness. Like if you're going through your individual change process, you also need to be aware, you know, what's going on in your life, and have that self-awareness. And I think it's always easier to first start from the individual process. So let's say I'm scoring low in my health markers this year, and I say, oops, doctor said that I need to work on my blood pressure or my weight or whatever, blood sugar levels. So I'm aware, but it's not enough. I sort of know I need to, I should. So that's the awareness, but you know, there's communication and all that. I'm aware. When the thing starts shifting is that when I want to, and we get into that desire, I have a desire to change my habits or to change my behavior or to move towards new, healthier lifestyle. And that has to be personal and or in the organization, you know, your team needs to embrace that, yes, we want to do the change, or we can see it and it's relevant for us. It's not just that we need to.
That desire also speaks to your motivation, right? So why you are motivated to do this. And when you have the awareness and you start kicking into motivation, and that it fuels the desire to why you want to change, it becomes a bit of a process at least. But until you have that internal motivation and that desire to want to change, it's just we're still stuck in awareness, right?
That's it. So you brought, this is such an important thing. Often people are asking that you need to motivate me, but the motivation is internal. It's your own why and all that. The other people can try to inspire you or to really get you there so that you discover yourself. But motivation is quite it has to come from yourself also.
Yeah.
So you can't say that, oh, my coach didn't do a good work, she or he didn't motivate me. But coaches and whatever change management professionals, they have tools and techniques communication wise to inspire you and to help you to discover those things that would motivate you. Very important point. Okay, now we want to change. We are motivated. Yeah. You are motivated, Kevin. Yes. So then, but we might not know what is the next step. So there comes the knowledge, and there often it's a lot of a skills development, training development. Obviously various methodologies. Obviously you can do your research, you can find knowledge in different ways. When you know your topic, you're aware of it and you want to change, you know your why. So now you can even start Googling. So I mean, at individual level, if you sort of know what's going on or whatever, even start Googling and get more information about the things that you want to change. And or go and join a good cause, read good books, ask advice, find support, mentoring, coaching, training, all these different avenues. And as you build up your skills and your knowledge, then, and I think here also now we need to have be courageous and brave. Then we have the ability to implement some of the changes. And very important then is that we all know New Year promises and so forth. If we don't stick to them long enough, or if they are not getting reinforced, we might drop the ball at some point. So reinforcement is also very important. And for example, obviously being a coach, I think like having an accountability partner can be also a super good thing for reinforcement. And then things are changing and developing so fast. So you can't think that, you once acquired some knowledge and something, you actually need to follow up what's going on in your field or in that area, whatever you are changing in your life, whether it's in your personal life or at your work or in your business.
Yeah. Pauliina, so we're steadily running out of. We've already got to half an hour of conversation, and it's so interesting to listen to the map of change, the importance of change. If you could leave us with some tips of what are the practical tips for people out there and people who want to manage change and manage their careers, manage themselves. What are the tips that you can sort of share for us today?
Yeah. So I think when we're going through change and adapting to change, it's always like a bit stressful process, or there is a pressure somewhat. So it's very important to really take care of your wellness, and not only physical wellness, but also your emotional, your mental, your holistically your wellness, and to be mentally fit, and like we talked about the SAGE perspective, to be able to engage from that place, even despite all the, like if your change was like a negative, a shocking type of a situation, that you can still be positive and engage from a good place, from that SAGE perspective, with others. And I think, yes, focus on people. Don't focus too much on your dashboards and your spreadsheets.
Focus instead of focusing. Focus on people instead of spreadsheets and dashboard. I think it's so true. I think we forget. We get so caught up in the numbers and the success and we forget, right? We
Meaning we need to be aware of them, and this takes us to sort of because you need to measure the change. So hence you need your whatever system to measure change. But even there, engage people and ask people feedback from the change, especially now in the organizational. Even if you're doing your own change process, every now and then review and see where are you at, and ask the similar questions. Then you can see the progress or where you are getting stuck. And in this, obviously in business language, they talk about agile approach and or being flexible, fluxy, and where I used to work in the sort of socioeconomic field, we would talk about being participatory, participating all the stakeholders into the process. And very important thing is that because the people, everybody needs to make the change, so you need to empower them. And really, this is about the communication and listening to see where are they and what maybe they have great ideas that you wouldn't have thought about. So it's all that engaging process. And I think that still, I mean, smaller transitions, smaller, medium changes, just go ahead to do with your internal wisdom and get something and all that. But if you're not getting any results or you're getting stuck, don't continue the do-it-yourself, DIY, too long, because change is challenging. And sometimes it is good to have an external facilitator or your mentor, your coach, your trainer who specializes in that and can support you and can challenge you, because sometimes we also get stuck just not wanting to go over the fear zone towards the new. So so that's maybe the thing. And also, I think other thing is that, especially in organizations, or even in your own life, when you're going through a major change, you need extra capacity, meaning even just time-wise. So don't just, if you're leading an organization, a business, and you want to do a change, don't just think that you put that work on top of all the other workload, especially if people are already overworked. So you need to make space and time for the work to be done. Change doesn't happen change happens, but the transition doesn't happen on its own. It needs to be led, it needs to be managed, it needs to be done.
I love that. Yes. Guys, if you want to find out more, thank you, Pauliina. I really love this. I really love that you could share this a bit of structure for us around change, especially for the new year, to give us some insights on where we're going and what we're doing and how to rethink it and get some clarity. If you want to find out more, you can go and check it out on Pauliina's website. I'm just going to read it out here at www.pauliinamapatha.com, and that's with 2 I's. I'll make sure that we paste all the links in the description boxes below, guys, and you can find out more about Pauliina and who she is and what she does. Pauliina, thank you. Thank you for spending some time. Thank you for sharing that. It was an absolute pleasure chatting with you.
Thank you, Kevin. Thanks for the opportunity.
Not a problem. Chat to you soon. Thank you.